the participation of Madame Suheir. Just let me give you briefly a short part of her CV. She is the former Director General of the Women's Affairs Technical Committee, which is a Palestinian coalition of NGOs working towards eliminating discrimination against women. She's also served on the advisory board of the Gender Consultative Council of the Middle East North Africa region for the World Bank and as a consultant for human rights and gender issues. Madame Assouni holds a master's degree in gender, law and development from Birzeit University in Palestine. And I must say, as a highest, I put this very, very high. It's a diploma in human rights from Lund University in Sweden, which is my own university town. So I'm holding you very highly when I'm already there. She has also published articles called Palestinian Women and Equal Status in Society and My Daughters Deserves a Better Future. Ms. Assouni, please, you have the floor to present your view on the situation of women in the territories under the Palestinian National Authority today. Please, very welcome.
Good afternoon, distinguished council members, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting me to this working session. I have been invited to give an overview of the situation of Palestinian women, and actually I have prepared another statement, and then I thought that it's too long, and I have to focus on certain points so that we really focus on what is really important for Palestinian women. It is very difficult to cover all aspects within 12 minutes. So, first of all, I would like to point out to the most important fact that really affects the improvement of lives of Palestinian women. It is the Israeli occupation. When I was told you wanted me to give a statement about the situation of Palestinian women, I placed a statement on my Facebook page. I have around 400 persons from Palestine on it. I said, what do you think are the most important problems that women face in Palestine? And everybody said it's the occupation. Everywhere we go, the occupation is really harassing us, and it's giving us too many problems to just making it impossible for us to advance. So really, the being under siege and occupation is a very big hindrance towards the Palestinian women. In order to have equal status in society, you have to have an independent state, an independent and viable Palestinian state based upon the UN resolutions that everybody accepted. And this means that there is a responsibility for everybody here, including all the states members to the United Nations, in order to get this state into being, a real state. And this does not mean only statements and resolutions, but real action in order to change the situation on the ground. Today I would like to speak about some positive developments that happened for women in Palestine and some negative ones. But in order to focus my presentation, I am going to speak about the Palestinian Constitution, the nationality law, the personal status law, the protection of women against violence, and the representation of women in political decision making. I have another statement you can read more about the education and the economic situation of Palestinian women, which are also important, but I don't have time to really go into detail about these aspects. So let me go a little bit about the positive aspects that happened, positive developments that happened recently in Palestine. Before I start, I want just to let you know that I have been heading one of the biggest organizations in Palestine for 7 years. Actually, I established the representative offices of this organization, which is a coalition of all organizations who want to work on the improvement of the status of women. During 3 years, we made 23 amendments in the draft laws and legislations that were being discussed in the Palestinian parliament. 23, and we had some of the best laws ever. And then the second intifada started, and more repressive measures from the occupation. This is why when I say the occupation is a big hindrance, because once you start doing something good, and once a repressive force is really hindering you from really going forward, people become more conservative, and people become more religious, and you have focus on other things rather than the improvement of the status of women. So, despite this, I have to say that the former government of Palestine, the Fayyad government, made a very clear commitment for gender equality and equality to building a state that treats men and women equally. This commitment has been translated into the formulation of a sectoral country gender strategy and plan. And I was there because I led the process of formulating the gender strategy and action plan, and they were one of the most progressive, not only in Palestine, in most of the countries of the world. So this national strategy, there was also another strategy to protect women against violence. Now, how much has been implemented from this strategy needs to be, there is a big question mark there, but I have to say that since the establishment of, since Oslo, there have been some new laws that have been more gender sensitive than previous laws. For example, many of the laws, the labor law, for example, it says citizen, employee, or person refer to both men and women. Before this time, there was no such thing. Also, the economic situation of women, although it is very, very bad, but there is some kind of women's rights activists include more economic rights for women. And rights at work is a new development. And they are including financial corporation, governmental and non-governmental committees. So there is some kind of movement towards more engendering of some institutions in Palestine. However, there is lots of work that needs to be made at different levels. The first level is the enactment of laws that grant real equality for men and women. Secondly, the enforcement of these laws through gender-friendly structures. And thirdly, the transformation of restrictive cultural norms and traditions, so that men and women are really treated equally in society. Let me tell you where I, as an expert, find a problem in the laws in Palestine. Usually people do not really look very deeply into this, because usually most of the constitutions in the Arab world, they say men and women are equal before the law, and they feel that this is equality. Actually, the Palestinian Basic Law, which is our constitution, states that Palestinians are equal before the law, the judiciary, without distinction based upon race, sex, color, religion, political views, or disability. So, you know, people will feel very happy that here, look, there is equality. But is this really equality? The Constitution also says that the basic law views personal freedom as a natural right that shall guaranteed and may not be violated. This is beautiful language, but really this states that men and women are equal before the law, meaning in the courtroom. Not in the law. We need equality in the law. We need the law itself to really treat men and women equally. And as such, this law should be rephrased to state equal before the law, and men and women shall also have the same rights, liberties, and duties in order to really reflect equalities. Why am I talking about the constitution? Because this is the base for everything else. If you have a constitution that really says that men and women are equal, then all the rights that stem from these, all the laws that stem from these constitutions will reflect equality. Let me go to something else, the nationality right. There is no nationality law still in Palestine, and the laws in effect are the ones that were in effect before the 1967 occupation, the Jordanian and the Egyptian. However, there is a very big problem in nationality rights. This is something very, very crucial for Palestinians, because the Israeli occupation has managed to fragment Palestinians and give them different statuses everywhere you go. So you have a very different status for Palestinian men and women in the West Bank than those in Gaza, than those in East Jerusalem, than those in 1948. What does this mean? This means that if you cannot move freely, your freedom, your human right to free mobility is hindered, and at the same time, your freedom, to share your bed with whoever you want is also hindered, because men and women from the West Bank and Gaza cannot get married to men and women from East Jerusalem or from the 1948 Palestine or from Gaza, because their status is different. They won't be able to live together. They're not able to give the status to the ones they get married to. So this is a very, very big problem, and just in 2004, 21,000 families were affected by this. So you can imagine how big the problem is. In Jerusalem, there is a horrible problem, very harsh measures, evicting Palestinians from their homes. In Jerusalem, Palestinians are regarded as residents. I'm from Jerusalem. I was there when occupation took place. Suddenly, I'm a resident in my homeland. And this means that I have to prove that my center of life is Jerusalem. If I cannot prove this, then they take away my resident card and they throw me out of my country. This actually happened to me and to my 3 children until we went to court, and only yesterday we won the case against this. My children were stateless and passportless for the past 5 months. So this is really a very, very big problem. There are thousands. There is an acceleration of ID confiscation policy in Palestine, in East Jerusalem. House demolitions, family fragmentation, destruction of agricultural lands. And these measures affect men and women directly and indirectly, and violate Articles 49 and 53 of the 4th Geneva Convention. Now, as in other parts of the Arab world, the biggest and the heaviest problem that we bear is the personal status law. I'm sure you all know about how we're not treated equally in marriage, divorce, inheritance, and custody of children. So in Palestine, Muslim women are subjected to the personal status law of 1976, while in Gaza, the Jordanian one, while in Gaza to the 1954 Egyptian one. So, while other laws in neighboring countries have been modified a little, Palestine remains untouched. Not only Muslim women are discriminated against, also Christian women, and I am one of them, are discriminated against, because they are governed by laws established by their respective churches. So they don't enjoy equal rights in marriage, divorce, or inheritance. This could be achieved by introducing a family law that ensures equality, equity, and justice. Another very big problem that we face in Palestine is violence against women. Official statistics talk about widespread domestic violence. And much of the violence is reported because of the repression, of the occupation, because when men are really repressed, they reflect that domestically in their homes. So domestic violence, unfortunately, is not prohibited in Palestine. In 2009, there were 1,112 cases registered at the police. Of course, you know that not all domestic violence are registered, cases are registered. During the first months of 2010, and this is a very big problem, 16 cases of honor killings were registered. In 2011 and 2012, 18 women were killed. Now, in 2013 until now, there have been 26 cases registered of honor killings. This is really horrifying. In Palestine, there is an urgent need to protect women against violence and modify Articles 98 and 99 from the Jordanian Penal Code. I have to say this, that even the President has tried to address this issue, and he changed one of the articles, but actually not the article that is being used in courts to judge these cases. So there is a need to really modify both 98 and 99 so that the criminal does not escape. Representation in political decision making. You know, in all the Arab world, the representation of women in decision making is the lowest in the whole world. In the Arab region, it's the lowest in the whole world. In Palestine, it's also very low. 7.5% at the Palestinian National Council, 4% in its executive committee. In the executive committee of the PLO, there is only one woman. In the legislative council, and because of the quota system, we have now 12.9% of women. In the legislative and in the political parties, the representation of women does not exceed 30%. In the labor unions, the percentage is 8.4. So this is very important because here the representation of women also reflects gender-friendly structures. If you don't have enough women in all these structures, people will not really understand what women are going through, and women will not be able to reflect their decisions in the public sphere. It's very important to have women, and not just any women, women who are able to make a change there, not because they're a part of this party or that party or related to any political figure. So building a future democratic state means enabling women to participate effectively, and this means taking all legal and administrative measures to raise the political participation of women. We have 1325, Resolution 1325. This should be applied in Palestine because women continue to live in a state of conflict. And this means preventing violence against women, protecting women against violence through laws and procedures, and also enabling women to participate at the decision-making level, even in negotiating peaceful settlements. This is very important because women can make a very big difference, and they talk differently. Also, Israel should hold its repressive measures which take their toll on the advancement of Palestinian women. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Suheir, for that not so very careful.
No.
But that's why we're here.